One of the most extensive digital surveillance systems has emerged in Bangladesh in the last decade, and according to multiple investigations, India has played a consequential role in building that system. The interim government is now in the process of drafting a new law to penalize unlawful surveillance. At the center of Bangladesh's surveillance apparatus is the National Telecommunication Monitoring Center, or the NTMC. According to a 2025 expose by the Tech Global Institute, Bangladesh procured more than 160 surveillance tools between 2015 and 2025, spending close to $100 million. These tools include deep packet inspection systems, encrypted data decryption platforms, and mass social media monitoring tools. Together, they allowed authorities to observe not just who is communicating, but what they are saying, watching, and sharing.
Well, a few days ago, there is a huge news dailies published that even Bangladesh Central Bank is running Indian software. So, can you believe that Bangladesh Central Bank is being run? Even few days ago, it was run by Indian software. That means India has full access over our economy. Central bank means it is basically it is. It has full access over everything, so it is a really sensitive issue.
The report notes that many of these systems were not purchased directly from manufacturers. Instead, they were routed through third country intermediaries, with India repeatedly emerging as a regional hub. This makes India not just a neighbor, but a gatekeeper, a country that sits astride the physical pathways through which Bangladeshi data must travel. So India doesn't need to directly spy on Bangladeshi citizens to matter here, because control over infrastructure is power in itself. Now, following Bangladesh's political upheaval in 2024, concerns escalated. A joint analysis by the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the EU Agency for Asylum documented the use of vehicle-mounted interceptors, IMSI catchers, and the Spearhead surveillance system. These tools enabled real-time tracking of protesters, often without warrants or judicial authorization. The report highlights a key issue: that there is little transparency around how these systems interact with cross-border infrastructure, particularly fiber routes running through India. In other words, once surveillance is embedded at the infrastructure level, accountability becomes harder to trace. Regional infrastructure integration allows New Delhi to maintain plausible deniability, as in no documented proof of direct surveillance, yet undeniable structural influence. By serving as a regional transit hub, India benefits from strategic visibility while avoiding formal accountability. And legal context matters here as well. In 2024, Amnesty International warned that Bangladesh's Cybersecurity Act grants authorities sweeping powers to seize devices and monitor online activity, fueling what it called digital anxiety among citizens.
Absolutely, there is a full anti-India sentiment here in Bangladesh. Not that they hate Indian people, but they're talking about Indian influence, illegal influence, India's supremacy. That India always try to show as big brother. They try to act like their big brother with their neighbors. But the people of Bangladesh, especially young generation, they are very much conscious about the India's this kind of behavior. So right now in Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh are very much conscious, and India will be not allowed to do anything against the interest of Bangladesh.
Just months earlier, India and Bangladesh had signed the India-Bangladesh Digital Partnership, publicly framed around cooperation and data sovereignty. Critics argue that while the agreement spoke the language of partnership, it coincided with deep infrastructure integration that left Bangladeshis uncertain about who ultimately sees or can access their data.
As you know, both Bangladesh and India are independent countries, so it is a really sensitive issue, and spying or surveillancing on other country, it is totally illegal in international law and all kind of laws. So it is a really sensitive issue, but I studied for a while about the surveillance of India over Bangladesh. But first of all, I must tell you that there is no credible evidence of surveillance. But I said, but there is a huge allegation against India that India has a huge number of spies or agencies. RAW or India's several agencies working here in Bangladesh indifferently. For example, they have agent in medias, in even government agencies, even political parties, even socio-cultural organizations.
The good news is that as concerns about surveillance grow, the Bangladeshi government has been moving toward legal reform. In late 2025, the Daily Star reported that the Bangladeshi government drafted a new ordinance aimed at penalizing unlawful surveillance by anyone, including state actors. This draft law seeks to dismantle unauthorized interception and could criminalize improper surveillance with penalties including fines and prison terms. It also proposes establishing a central lawful interception platform to ensure any monitoring must be based on court authorization or oversight by an independent counsel. Advocates say that this would be an important first step in reining in systems that were previously seen as unchecked, including those tied to telecom infrastructure and cross-border data flows. And hopefully that will help Bangladesh gain digital freedom from India.